All right, guys, bang, bang. I've got my friends from Quicknode here. Hello, how are both of you?
Doing well, man.
This is the first two-person interview that we've done in the new studio. So awesome. You guys are the guinea pigs. We're going to hopefully that this works. Let's just talk about the Quicknode story, right? And I think just kind of starting there, and that'll lead us into some of the data infrastructure that's actually happening in crypto. Walk me through kind of your guys' background to get to actually starting Quicknode, right? What you guys are very technical, right? Very kind of well versed in terms of a lot of this computational power and infrastructure. So, like, what did you guys do before we get there?
Sure. So, Alex co-founded a managed hosting company like back in 2001, maybe even earlier. You're still messing around with the early internet stuff, and we built out a company that was managing thousands of servers in like over 10 data centers around the world. So like we got awesome experience on how to be like on the provider side and how to build global networks, manage like all different stacks of software. Then, there's different projects within that company, with regards to like video encoding, ad serving. We got to work with a really broad range of customers. 2015, we started building our content delivery network because, the internet started being more media rich and you needed faster speeds. You couldn't wait for your server in New York. If somebody's living across the Atlantic, it'd take forever to load a video, if the video is hosted in the United States. So what we'd do is we'd clone that video over to somewhere in Europe. So the download speeds were a lot quicker. And that experience we decided to bring into Quicknode because as that company, that tech was very valuable. A company called Komodo SSL acquired that company. And as we were transitioning out of that, this was around 2017, 2018, got really intrigued with what smart contracts could enable. And, we knew what Bitcoin was back from 2013, Mt. Gox days. We bought some Bitcoin at like 300, sold it at 1,000. It's silly to think about that now, but, so we're like, all right, so let's buy an ENS domain name, or maybe like some of these token sales were really interesting. And we tried to interact with like MyEtherWallet at the time, MetaMask, like the very, very early versions of it. And we noticed that when one of these like popular token sales, like 0x, for example, it crashed the MyEtherWallet servers, it crashed the MetaMask servers. And we're like, well, this is no way for Web3, which is like this network of blockchains, to grow. And so like, how do we help? How do we take our experience and how do we help this ecosystem expand, grow, develop? And we're like, well, who better to build Web3 infrastructure than us, who have been we've seen the transition from Web 1 to Web 2. We've contributed to a lot of open source software and a lot of businesses that are on Web 2 today. How do we help Web 3? So really the idea was like the experience you guys had in terms of low latency and kind of all that computational infrastructure that you'd previously built for almost 2 decades, it sounds like, right? Yeah. When you got to crypto, it was like essentially not there, right? Like it was just everything would crash. It couldn't handle, large volumes. And then also it sounds like as you got deeper and deeper into this, you realize like, one, we probably can just build the infrastructure, but two, also there's all kinds of things that are unlocked with better performance in terms of actually connecting to the blockchains. Is that fair?
Fair enough, yeah. So we basically took all the experience that we would gather during especially during our CDN time, We learned a lot. We understood what latency translated into conversions for customers. We understood how to optimize certain layers of the business and infrastructure and software to maximize throughput and to have the absolutely lowest latency in the business. And so we took all that and we applied it here because, as Dmitry pointed out, we saw the transition from Web 1 to Web 2 and into Web 3 in the beginning of 2018, for example. And what's Web 3 really? It's Web 1 was read-only, Web 2 was read and write, Web 3's ability to verify, And so we saw there's a lot of that, what he described, and we understood that we could bring this experience over with our team and build something that people will need going forward. So initially that was like dedicated nodes that helped to transact on blockchain, but that had limitations, which eventually grew into this Quicknode API product, which we released in February 2020. That thing completely took off. Everybody observed it and started using it. We grew like 1,100% in 3 months, and so it was we understood we had a market fit, right?
Yeah, and so when you think today, the main chains that you support are Ethereum, Matic, what else? XDAI, and those are pretty much the main three.
No, we also support Optimism.
Optimism.
Yep.
Binance Smart Chain.
Binance Smart Chain.
Okay. So here's something that's fascinating to me is I'm going to call them smart contract platforms, Ethereum, Binance Chain, and Matic. Yeah. And when we look at that stuff, it feels like Ethereum's the one that everyone knows, right? And that's kind of got like the when people think of smart contract platform, they think of Ethereum, right? So it's got the mind share. But Binance Smart Chain and Matic, you know, I should start by saying I'm an investor in the company, right? So we've had a lot of conversations about this, are popular as well, right? And so is this a world where like these chains are actually just competing on technical infrastructure and like who can create the most innovation, who has the fastest throughput speed, who has the lowest cost fees, and like it really is kind of this like race to zero on fees, right? Maybe it doesn't actually ever get to zero, but there's definitely like the commoditization across these various smart contract platforms.
So there's a balance. There's a balance you have to achieve, and this was most prominent recently when the fees on Ethereum mainnet skyrocketed. It was just really expensive to move anything around. People started looking for alternatives, and you basically, you sacrifice some decentralization and thus some security for doing something. But if it's like transactional stuff, not like all important governance stuff, yeah, you can do it. Layer 2 is the solution, and it's not like you don't sacrifice much. It's just a trade-off. And again, more and more people are starting to realize that the future is multi-chain. You might have your governance contracts on Ethereum because it's expensive, but it's worth to have that security to make sure that this is governing your entire organization. But the everyday transactions, if you're moving, a couple of dollars around, you move some tokens around, that stuff can be done with, with security, with confidence on a layer 2, like Binance, like Matic, like XDAI. And then we're looking forward to seeing what people build with the Optimism technology.
And so really the idea is a decentralized smart contract platform is really important for governance, like you said, right? So there's a reason for decentralization in that standpoint. You want to have almost what I call like democratic governance, right? As many people participating as possible and as least concentration or kind of single point of failure as possible. Yeah. But if I simply just want to make a trade, I don't necessarily need all that decentralization, right? I actually want the most efficiency that I can gain. And sometimes the decentralized systems are much less efficient. Sometimes for certain things, they may be more efficient, right? That's a whole other thing. But if I simply want to just get the efficiency, lower fees, faster throughput, then decentralization doesn't really matter in that situation. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. Explain to people the difference between Matic, Binance Smart Chain, and Ethereum, just from like a technical, high level in terms of block times and like why are these others maybe more efficient without decentralization as kind of the core linchpin?
So Ethereum currently is proof of work. It's got about 12 second block times. Matic has validators, and there's like a 3-point system where they're validating. And then the block times are also shorter, quicker rather. And Binance Smart Chain also validator concept with 3-second block times. So recently a lot of DeFi platforms have moved to Binance Smart Chain because Binance, just because they're an exchange and they have all that deep financial pull, but it also helps to have like order books update every 3 seconds because you want to make those trades. You want to
compared to Ethereum being 12 to 15 seconds.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they've made the fees less expensive. So again, if you're building a wallet app, a decentralized wallet app, you'll have the main governance on Ethereum, you'll have the transaction, like moving tokens around on Binance Smart Chain, you'll have your NFTs moving around on Polygon. There's a big move of NFTs and like media platforms moving to Polygon. So there, again, future is multi-chain. We're looking to support that. We're looking to expand the chains we support because it's good to give developers choice. When they're building an application, you don't force them to use Ethereum because Ethereum is not perfect. Neither, I don't think any platform is perfect. And so when they have that choice, they can choose and pick and choose and put how we say like Legos together to build their application.
So the way I describe Quicknode is it's basically like Amazon AWS, but for blockchains. Right,
exactly.
Which I think is like a fair thing. Yeah. How does the product work itself, right? So if I'm a developer, I come in, I go to the Quicknode website, like what do I choose from and like what is actually technically happening?
Okay, I mean, you just sign up for either a free or a $9 account, for example, as a developer. You get an endpoint right away. Within 5 minutes, you'll be able to take that endpoint, plug it into your code, and you're ready to transact. I think a great example of that was customer of ours, for example, doing analytics, came to our site in the middle of the night, 4 a.m, had an outage on their self-hosted nodes, able to sign up, and within 5 to 10 minutes, they were back online without having to speak to anybody. And so what we built is a self-serve platform that customers could come without having to speak to anybody, just sign up and go.
And then to add to that, on the back end, we're running like dozens of clusters of super powerful Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Matic nodes. And a node is a peer-to-peer piece of software which maintains an up-to-date copy of the ledger, and it talks to other nodes on the network, miners, validators. It sees when a new block arrives, and then it builds that database. And then we have these middle layers, like a routing middle layer, which if you're making a request from the Netherlands, you're going to hit a node cluster in the Netherlands. If you're making a request from London, you're going to hit a node cluster in London, China, Singapore, San Francisco, New York. So by bringing the data closer to the users, you minimize network hops, you reduce latency, make things quicker, snappier. And as Alex mentioned, that's experience we bring over from our CDN experience. Companies like Yahoo, AOL, Amazon, they invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into research into human psychology that faster speeds results in happiness for people. When something happens fast, people get excited, and that results in them coming back to your website or using your application more, making a purchase, taking a call to action. So we understand how important speed, and blockchain is notorious for its slowness. So if our platform makes, if we can make it just a little bit faster, or in some cases a lot of bit faster, some customers came to us and like, hey, we switched to you guys and we saw 100x improvement in our polling speeds, and we're like, wow, so this is fantastic.
So I can say this, you guys can't say this because people think you're bragging. But when I was doing the diligence to research, to invest and researching all this, I'd go talk to customers and they were like, listen, it's like not even close, right? In terms of a lot of the other services in the space, just there is that latency and they maybe just be focused on other things. That's not the most important thing they're building. I think given your guys' background, you really understand the importance of latency and you're looking for customers that want lack of latency, right? Mm-hmm. And so because of that speed, what are customers actually doing? Is there one or two examples that you have of like, hey, a customer is doing X with our infrastructure that can highlight to people like why this is so important from just a pure like infrastructure interacting with these blockchains?
Sure. I think Dima would like to talk about this a lot, so go for it.
Yeah. No, we have
I just hear him all the
time. The great part about being at the infrastructure level is that everybody who's working with blockchain, interacting with blockchain needs your service. So we work with a bunch of projects across the board. Anyone from like traditional finance systems who are looking to interact with the blockchain to decentralized finance systems and professional traders who are looking to get like the fastest information, the latest block information. What happened to the smart contract? What happened to this Uniswap pair? What happened on I don't know, any one of these decentralized exchanges. But moreover, there's a lot of people looking for the mempool data. And the mempool, for those who don't understand, is the mempool stuff is that's what happens before transactions get mined and accepted as truth into the blockchain. And there's about a 10 to 12 second period where people's transactions get entered into the mempool, and then miners get to choose which transactions they mine into the next block. And what happens there, let's say a transaction is submitted somewhere in New York, and it's mined somewhere in New York. By the time that propagates, and by propagates, it goes from one node to another node to another node, and makes its hops to a node in China. It might be anywhere from several milliseconds to several seconds. And that's very valuable time, especially in the finance sector, where they need to make these split-second decisions on what their next move is. So what we've done is we've created, we're aggregating the mempool data from all the nodes we run all over the world. We have over 12 locations. We're in multiple clouds. So basically, anywhere in the world the transaction enters the mempool, we then broadcast it to whoever's subscribing to that data.
And they're paying as like a subscription?
They're paying for that for every transaction that they're subscribed to. They're paying for that request, like to receive that piece of data.
Got it. And so when we think about this, you have not only infrastructure, right? Like what I consider just you guys have done the work, you've built out infrastructure. Now I can come in, I can basically plug in through your infrastructure, and I can communicate with these blockchains. I can get the actual kind of copy of the blockchain or whatever. But also you got a ton of data, right? And so maybe talk a little bit like the data importance versus the infrastructure importance, and like how you think about like the business evolving over time.
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at the relationship between Citadel and Robinhood, for example, there's a lot of business there. So what we able to gather is all these transactions that are going on a network, and all this data that we're able to share, perhaps with someone that could be very valuable, specifically for like large funds who are executing on things that need to have more insights. And research companies, to better understand the landscape of what's happening before the rest of the world sees it, right? And so that data piece could be very, very valuable in, if by our estimations, somewhere in $10 billion a year range, over the next 5 years or so. And so that piece is very, not a lot of people talking about that piece specifically, but we think that piece of the business is huge. We've been having certain conversations with certain funds and things like that, with CEOs that are interested in the data, that could utilize this data to make better decisions on their end.
Got it. And when you think about the infrastructure, really it's kind of a two-step business, right? You have to have the infrastructure in order for you guys to get the data, but you're monetizing the infrastructure itself. And then if there is this opportunity to do data as well, that's really additive to the business. It's not kind of an either or decision.
Not at all. Yeah, it's both sides. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest challenge going forward? Right? When you think about like, all right, we got all this work to do, we're going to keep doing this. What's the biggest challenge for the business?
To keep up with demand, and
that's a good problem.
Yeah, it's a great problem. It's like every startup's dream to have that problem, but it's to keep up with demand and keep meeting customers' expectations. And their expectations keep growing day to day. Mm-hmm. When there's some people that were querying maybe like 5 blocks at a time for data. Now they're querying like chunks of thousands of blocks, and they need that data in a millisecond. Mm-hmm. So like we're working on different ways to index it. We're using special hardware that's like super snappy, like super fast disks to be able to access this data. We have a caching layer that stores some of this data in memory, again to improve speeds. So the great thing about again infrastructure layer, such a wide range of customers. We get so much data from our customers around how they're using it, what their use case is. Maybe perhaps I didn't touch up enough on the range of our customers. Is we also have NFT platforms that are minting NFTs. We have customers that are building blockchain gaming ecosystems. They're doing esports tournaments that are blockchain backed. So things like in-game skins and certain like prizes. There's people building universal basic income. There's another project called Pool Together, which is a no-loss lottery. I think that's one of the craziest inventions, because people basically buy a ticket for the lottery. it gets lent out into a decentralized lending platform, which earns interest. And then one person wins the interest and everybody gets their money back. Like it's fantastic, no? And this happens trustlessly, automatically.
How often do they do a drawing?
They do a drawing. I don't know.
Once a week or something.
Something like that. Yeah. But it's an amazing concept that you can do this without an intermediary. Like you're not buying a lottery ticket from the state of Florida or anything. This is it's a global lottery that's trustless and automatic.
And you don't lose money.
Just somebody wins some interest.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
And I guess because you're really getting everyone's interest, it's not just the interest that you would have gotten going by and doing it yourself, right? You're contributing to this big pool. The big pool earns a ton of interest all at once. And then basically somebody wins that as part of the lottery.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's wild. One of the things that fascinates me about this is, as you guys have chosen new blockchains to support, they've turned into, we'll call them spectacles to be nice, which is you say, hey, we're going to support something. When you choose to support it, that community gets really excited, but also other people start to pay attention. And so just what is the process for vetting these, deciding who to work with, and kind of how does that work and through prioritization?
Yeah. So, for us, we're all about community, right? We would like to build a community. We'd like to support the community. And we understand for this to grow, for everybody to benefit, the community piece needs to exist. So we always look at when a foundation, for example, like Matic approaches us, or we approach them, every time it's a different story. Usually we'll look at their GitHub, how active are they, how many developers they have, how involved are they with the whole ecosystem. Are we helping the whole ecosystem? And then we'll make a decision whether or not we're going to take our eyes off our roadmap and add them to add them to our network. And for us, it's very important that whoever we add to our network, that they contribute to the whole ecosystem. They have a sort of a sandbox environment for their developers, public endpoints that they could subsidize. So that's a very important piece for us because we understand we're not only helping us, we're also helping the whole community and the whole ecosystem to grow. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we're also listening a lot to our customers, and the customers basically tell us what they want. Customers could come say, "When are you guys going to support Matic?" We're like, "Okay, we'll look into it." Or like, when are you guys going to support XDAI or BSC? And this is such valuable feedback because when you get enough of these requests, you're like, maybe maybe they're onto some. And also when. We've been in the space since late 2017. We've built the brand. It's a known brand, and when a company chooses to partner with us, it's celebrated very, very well, especially in the community, because it's this particular foundation is serious about supporting their developers and giving them choice, giving them robust infrastructure to be able to build these global scale apps, because the foundations they don't have the kind of teams with the kind of experience that Quicknode brings to the table. So being able to bootstrap this high performance scalable node Web3 infrastructure is super valuable to these people, and it's very well received by the community. It's celebrated almost like a token listing.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Well, we were accepted into the Y Combinator batch for the winter, and they pumped out Instacart, they pumped out Coinbase, for example, and I'm looking at Coinbase's story, and they started out just selling Bitcoin, and then they added Ethereum, and then they added Litecoin, and now they have 20, 30 assets. So I'm like, this is very, very much parallel to, I feel like, what Quicknode is doing. We're not just dedicated to Ethereum. We support Bitcoin, and we support six chains and 10 different networks at this point. And this is just the beginning.
What's up, guys? Bang, bang. I hope you're enjoying this conversation. But before we go any further, I want to quickly tell you about today's sponsor, BlockFi. BlockFi's got 4 different financial products for crypto investors. You can deposit crypto and earn up to 8.6% APY in an interest-bearing account. You can deposit crypto and take out a US dollar loan against your crypto collateral. You can use their cryptocurrency exchange and have no trading fees, or you can get a new Bitcoin rewards credit card. It's a normal credit card that when you swipe, you get Bitcoin back rather than cash back or airline miles. I'm an investor in the business and a very happy user. I think you will be too when you go to blockfi.com/pomp. Again, blockfi.com/pomp. Go check it out and let me know what you think. All right, let's get back into this conversation. I hope you enjoy it. It's fascinating to me too that you guys have done a lot of this. You've also raised capital, so maybe we talk a little bit about that. But like outside of like the hardcore development community, many people don't know about you, right? Which is almost like a testament to you found the right people to know about you. Like who cares if everyone knows, right? It's just like the people who are the customers, they all know. And when they think of, hey, I need infrastructure that's got low latency, like bam, I go to Quicknode. Right. And so was that intentional or did that just kind of naturally happen?
I think it was just a natural progression, really. I don't think it was intentional. What do you think?
I mean, we just try to build the best possible product, and you know.
That's why I love you guys. You guys, I don't know, it's just like built the right thing.
We know we had to build. We had to build the right thing that worked well, that people would love. The user experience was absolutely the best. And we took all the things what not to do from the previous companies and we applied it here. Exactly. We had the right formula, you know. We learned on our mistakes. I remember being in the late 90s, being in high school, coming home before AOL, you know, going to RSC and all this. I remember all this progression from Web 1 to Web 2, understanding how it changed the world. And I wish I was older back then to understand what I was being involved in, you know. And now being here with experience, with all of that, to be able to take all that and to apply it here, it's just a piece of cake. We know exactly what people want. We're listening to our community. We're listening to our customer, and we're driving the need from within the company. And so, like, I don't think anybody else works harder than us. You know, we're there in the office building 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day. Nobody's sleeping. You know, 7 days a week. So we understand.
I know you guys are. Well, talk about the fundraise in terms of what was the thought process? You went to YC and also did the fundraise. Either one of you, whoever wants to talk about it.
Yeah, I think I'll start off and you could pick up.
Sure.
Yeah. So we started a fundraise sometime in November, and then we got during the initial stages of it, we got accepted into YC, and that was very exciting. YC is a great process to go through. We learned a lot, but we decided, YC recommends not to start any fundraising during YC until the demo day. Since we're already in the process, we sort of just left, we sort of just ran with it. And that was great because, in the beginning, we got a lot of hey, what the hell are you guys talking about? Why doesn't Amazon just come in and do it? We don't believe in that there's a need for this product. Towards the end, so that was November. By January, we had so much interest in our company that we had literally probably over 200 companies coming up hey, let us write you a check. What's the valuation? And what's this? Can we get in? And you're an investor. We met with you, and it was
no brainer.
It was one of those processes that I think YC also helped us a lot through. As we were taking on some of these investors, we want to make a strategic partnership with each one of them. We understood you as a strategic piece to it. Very listen to. We have 50 million followers, etc. You definitely help to spread the word. We had Michael Arrington, who actually convinced us to stay with YC because we were in the beginning do we really need it? We sort of have the experience, but he was hey, you guys don't understand what it is. You definitely want to be part of it. And we're hey, for sure. We'll go with it. Then we had Alexis Ohanian. He brings in so much. 776 fund. Yeah. He brings in so much experience, and every 2 weeks, him and his team are with us for an hour at a time. We're going through things, we're strategizing, we're going through everything. He's been amazing throughout the whole process. So, and we sort of so Hashkeys was one of the investors. For them, we were what do they bring to the table? Well, they're Asian, one of the biggest Asians invested into blockchain space. They have a lot of blockchain companies in their portfolio. We sort of picked them for that environment. And so we sort of put a team together for an investment that could drive us to the next level. And today I think we're very happy with our partners.
Couldn't have asked for better partners, honestly.
Absolutely amazing. SoftBank brings in so much experience. The Opportunity Fund, as you know, has been created for the Black founders, and one of our founders happens to be Austin. He's half Black, half
South American.
South American, and he was able to connect us with SoftBank, and we were able to work with them, and we love their team. Them too. We get on monthly calls with them, strategizing accounting pieces. How to structure certain deals, how to close certain customers, how to grow the business from within, and how to focus on the culture. Also, 776 Fund, these guys also, they want to diversify our team. They want more women on our team.
Mm-hmm.
We actually just recently hired our first woman for
HR and customer success.
Yes, she's going to be like the mother of the.
We needed a mother in the company.
And so we've been trying to hire from all different backgrounds. First of all, we all immigrants. All four co-founders, three co-founders are immigrants. He's from Russia. I'm from Ukraine. The other one is from Germany, Manuel Kreutz. And so we understand the process. We understand the importance of diversity within the team. And so for us, what we are building is exactly that. We understand that they can't be just a bunch of white dudes sitting and building on Facebook. There needs to be somebody that understands the pain points that people go through, and sort of that's the sort of company we are building.
Yeah, it's fantastic. What has been the biggest surprise in building the business over the last couple of months?
I don't know, the amount of demand that's coming in. We open up our gates and it's just people are just flooding in. We have so much interest in the business, and so many foundations are coming to us. And it's please take our money and add us to the platform. And I think that's been the biggest surprise, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I think it's the number of diverse projects that are building on the platform, and that we're able to facilitate. They're giving us this feedback oh, your platform is so easy to use. We were able to get started real quick. There's companies building new ways of governance. There's new ways of voting, meritocracy, just all across the board. And then you have some of these large financial corporations with billions in crypto under management. They also need this service. Banks and hedge funds. I think we're just at the very, very beginning. Even though there's been so much progress, even from when we entered the space in 2017 till now, it's so much easier to build a decentralized application or a blockchain-powered application. And what Alex had mentioned, back in the 90s, how difficult it was to build a website. But then you had companies like Amazon come along and make all that process streamlined and made it so easy. So when you think about running node infrastructure, you probably have to go read a bunch of documentation. You have to learn how to use a command line. You got to go do your research on what kind of specs you need for your cloud server, or you just go to Quicknode, you sign up, and you go. And then there's the complexity increases as you scale up. Do you need two nodes? You need a load balancer in front of it. How to keep the data consistent between the different types of nodes. But being able to support such a wide range of projects is just, it motivates us every day to come to work and just build the best possible product and make our customers happy.
If you look forward 5 or 10 years, how big can this get, and what does this morph into? Right, when you just kind of look at what's the natural progression of this? Web3.
Every single application we use today will have some element of blockchain built into it. So you think of middlemen. First thing comes to mind is real estate. You need an agent. You need an escrow agent. You need title insurance. Once you have deeds on the blockchain, you can govern a real estate transaction by a smart contract. You don't need a middleman. You don't need a third party. You don't need escrow. One side sends USDC, for example. The other side submits the deed. They submit the title, and the title is governed by a system that keeps it honest. So you don't need title insurance then. Mm-hmm. It eliminates friction. It eliminates that trust layer. So when both conditions are met, the smart contract that lives on the blockchain, it's completely independent of anyone's control, then just swaps it. And that could be tied down to the keypad changing the code so the person can get access to the property. That's where we see this going. We see, what is it, BitClout?
BitClout, yep.
Yeah. So social networks moving into blockchain. Every single application. Everything from universities issuing diplomas on the blockchain. So you can then, imagine you're asked to vote on something that you actually have a merit in. Mm-hmm. Only if you have a PhD in medicine can you vote on a particular issue. So that kind of stuff, that's what blockchain enables. That's the kind of future that we see. So global scale. This is the next next iteration, the next version of the internet.
Yeah. It's pretty wild to think about. Right. Like if you just think about like, all right, like where we are headed is fucking nuts compared to where we've been. And today we look at like cars, right? And it's like, wait, people used to ride horses. Like there is that element of like, you know, you said like title insurance, like all these things that aren't going to be needed. People are like, you did what before? Like there's physical paper involved. Yeah. And now people are gonna be like, okay, like obviously the digital system's so much better. You're telling me people literally didn't think that was going to be true?
Yeah.
Like, man, get Gen Z to send an international wire. They won't be able to do it.
Yeah, of course not.
They want Cash App. They want Square. They want, you know, it's just peer to peer. Like, here's an address. Here's my address. Send me the tokens.
Well, that's why companies like Venmo and whatever exist today, you know, to be able to do that. But I think, you know, primarily if you're looking to purchase a property somewhere abroad, for example, say Spain, right? So you're looking to buy a home in Spain. The amount of bureaucracy and crap you need to go through, I went through that, so I understand. Like from your bank to send the money there, they need to exchange it from dollars to euro. You need to prove that this money is coming from you. Then you need to go through this whole process. And the way the real estate is done there, globally, you could have one global system that sort of eliminates all that. Like if you want to send your aunt $500 on a Sunday, you know, in a traditional way, the banks are closed. You're unable to do it. They're going to charge you an arm and a leg. You just went through it. You had to go a bunch of KYC stuff, you know, because Russia's in, you know, whatever. Yeah, like it's crazy. You can't even use your own money during the certain times. Same thing in the banks here. Like if you're making a large transaction, whether it's a deposit or you're withdrawing, that you need to tell them why is this happening? Mm-hmm. This is your money.
Yeah. So just you mentioned transferring money, but like a small area of controversy was like recently Vitalik was airdropped some like a couple of $1 billion of this Shiba token, and he was able to donate that to an Indian relief fund, you know, because of the COVID stuff happening in India, and that he was able to do that without anybody's permission for like it was like $12 or something in fees, maybe $100 in fees, but like $1 billion moved across the world to any point without anyone's permission for a very small amount.
Do we know if they went ahead and liquidated it, or did they hold on to the Shiba token?
We'd have to look at the.
Yeah, we'd have to look, right? I don't know.
It's transparent. Like if you want to know what happened to it, just go look at the transaction.
Yeah, which is like the best part about it, right? Yeah. Is because now all of a sudden, like one, kudos to him for doing that, right? Two is you can literally see what they do with it.
Yeah.
And so it's like pretty crazy to think it's not just about the transaction itself. It's the fact that he got it, right? Yeah. Then once he got it, right, what'd they do? Then he donated it. Okay. Yeah. Now once they get the donation, what do they do with it? It's transparent. Like there's a whole bunch of ramifications in just that one kind of mechanism that you're like, wait a minute, this was not possible before.
Yeah, like look what happened in Haiti, you know, during the whole thing. Like a bunch of stuff went there. It never went to the people. It rotted, it got stolen, you know, and this is exactly what it's for. And Vitalik, by the way, he burned the rest of that Shiba, you know, completely. I think it was like $6 billion worth or something. Yeah.
He burned
He just burnt it. You know, he donated most of it, and whatever he had left, he burnt it.
And he left a message like, don't airdrop me these tokens without my permission. I don't want to be responsible or something like that. But he was very like philosophical about it.
Yeah, he basically, because they tried to give it to him so that it would seem more legitimate because the creator of Ethereum held the tokens. So basically he was like, I don't want these, and got rid of them. Yeah. It's fascinating. There's not very many people who can say they donated $1 billion to something.
Even who was it? Sandeep from one of the co-founders of Matic. He released a tweet. He's like, I can't sit around anymore. I have to do something. I have to help, you know, the people in India. And within like a couple of hours, he created a multi-sig wallet and had the whole global crypto community donate to this cause. So on a philanthropic level, you had a global crypto community like get together and like create this fund to help something, you know, in a different part of the world, like in a day. Like that just, you know, you could try with GoFundMe or whatever, but I think this was just a great example of the crypto community coming together, but also the application of, you know, moving funds cross borders without permissions, without any kind of like bureaucracy or red tape.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's crazy to think about, right? What are you guys most excited about moving forward?
everything. I mean,
What's every day it's something new, something pops up. You know, projects, like I said, projects signing up and being able to support them.
I'm looking forward to see what Optimism is gonna
Optimism.
Yeah.
You guys keep talking about this, so you're
super
excited.
about that team, what they're doing. Can't talk much about it, but I think that's one of the projects I'm really excited about going forward. About you?
Definitely that. You know, we have a couple of chains. We signed a couple of new contracts with foundations, with new chains that we're gonna develop. You know, we're hiring a lot.
I was gonna say, who are we trying to hire?
We're hiring across the board. We're scaling the team. You know, we got DevOps engineers, front end developers,
backend engineers.
Yeah. Then we have like technical support engineers.
We had a good amount of additions to our team. Like we grew from like, you know, a 5-people team like a month and a half ago to a 12-people team, and we continue to expand our team.
Mm-hmm.
So if what we're looking, I'm looking to build a culture. I'm excited about building the culture in the company, and sort of this foundation of Quicknode that will grow into its own departments in near future.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just recently hired somebody from TikTok and previously worked with Facebook. They ran a sales team there that was excited to join our team, and we're excited to be working with him. He's an amazing individual with a great like view of what this could become. And so I enjoy personally work with him every day and sort of attacking different angles of the market, how we could attack enterprise, how we could improve our sales process for developer platform and all of this, and sort of like looking into what we could build together in the future, and sort of segment into smaller teams that like one team will attack the chain market, one team will attack the developer market, one team will attack the foundations and the whole business sector, and so that's very exciting. I think working with that is
yeah. So to finish my point is like what we've been able to accomplish with a team of like 5-6 people. Now that we have this additional funding and we have this momentum, what we'll be able to accomplish with like a double the size of the team. That's what really excites me. Like we're gonna 10x the performance of the tech, make it way more faster, way more reliable. We're gonna expand the product. We're gonna expand it into different markets. You know, and now with some of these bigger players starting to ride the wave. You know, being able to provide services to like mainstream banks and mainstream investor and hedge funds. That's what I'm like most excited about.
I think you guys are onto something.
For sure.
Thanks, Anthony. You've been a great help, man. It's amazing. It's so, like I said, we have the best investors, we have the best partners that we're working with. So it's great.
I think also what's really exciting is to see some of these, big players like Cash App, for example. Had a conversation with Cash App the other day, and they sort of understand that DeFi is going to put them out of business. This is their words. Like, we understand DeFi is going to put us out of business. So what we do, and we created a team inside to sort of put ourselves out of business before that happens. And so they're really smart people. They understand that this is going to change the world. This is going to change the way people transact, the way you use money, and the next generation will no longer be able to, to stand for the previous, standards that we had growing up. And so, like, companies like that understand it, and we still start early on, that they're building something next and something cool that for the next generation. So that's super exciting, I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. That you can participate there. Before I let you guys go, I asked everyone the same 3 questions. So I'm going to do it and you both answer each individually. Sure. Most important book you've ever read? Hard Things About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. That's
Love
a great
that book. Read it twice. I still come back to it very often.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That book and High Output Management by Andy Grove.
That's another great one. You guys are well read. Second question is sleep schedule. Comes from our friends over at 8 Sleep. I sleep on one every night. It's cold as shit. Sleep perfectly. I feel like I'm like a convert of the sleep religion. What's your guys' sleep schedule? Ooh, that's not a good start.
we actually had a friend who was I guess he was trying to he was advertising this cold bed idea to us, and maybe we'll go out and try that. Sleep schedule, I try to get 6 to 7 hours. I mean, we're working crazy, like super intense days. So by like 9-10 rolls around, I'm
exhausted.
Out. I'm out.
I'm 12 to 6, midnight, and 6 a.m. I'm up, yoga, and then 6:30, 6:45 I'm at the computer working.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can go 12 to 6 and you're perfectly fine.
Yeah, totally fine. Yeah.
Oh man, I need.
It's all about the mushrooms. You know, you got the reishi, cordyceps. You put that in your smoothie.
Chaka.
It gives you amazing energy. We're using something by Paul Stamets. I don't know if you know who he is. He was big.
Okay. Yeah.
That guy is amazing. He's like one of the biggest mycologists in the United States. He was in Joe Rogan's podcast a bunch of times. The guy is just like out of this world.
Super fascinating podcast.
Super fascinating. And
definitely watch that.
He has a movie on not Netflix, Amazon Prime. But anyways, he has these on fungi.com. He has these products, these mushroom mixes that you could put into your yogurts or whatever. Incredible.
Do you just drink coffee or you just use the mushroom mix?
I used to do matcha, so I stopped the caffeine. During this time, it's so crazy that you have so much energy, so much excitement working every day.
Yeah,
that if you had anything else, you start crashing. You know?
I had to cut back on the coffee. Like I stopped coffee. I switched from full calf to I started making my own mix of like 2/3 decaf, 1/3 caffeinated.
Okay.
Now I'm completely off because it was just messing with my mind. So
really?
Yeah, just maybe every once in a while I'll have like a sencha green tea. But I can't do full on calf. At least not right now because it's already intense. You know?
Yeah, I drink 2 coffees a day, and I've been thinking like, should I try to stop? But I don't know if I could.
That was me, man. That was me. I would have these crashes, you know, like in the middle of the day. I'm like, shit, I'm out of energy, and I got so many things to do, you know, and it's just like it's messing with you. You know, coffee is definitely messing with you.
And so you just don't do it at all, and then you're good.
No, it's
good. I mean, there's good argument for that. A very good argument for that. Last question is aliens. Are you a believer or a non-believer?
Oh yeah, we're
not
aliens over here. I don't think how did we all of a sudden end up here, right? Like that movie he saw when Paul Stamets, he said we all came from mushrooms like X amount of billions years ago. So the mycelium is actually like this network, sort of like Quicknode, right? That's connecting all the trees and all the living things around the forest, and all the trees and all these plants are able to communicate with one another
and transfer nutrients. So the trees and the plants they transfer nutrients through the mushroom mycelium networks underground.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's
called the Fantastic Fungi, I think it's called the movie.
Fantastic Fungi?
Some shit like that.
All right, I'll have to try to watch that.
Amazing. And so that's all it works like Quicknode. Whenever one region becomes overloaded or unavailable, we're able to transfer that nutrient to the other region or to the same region on a different cloud, you know? So like we are the product of that, you know, like we are like people believe there's a lot of, so if you speak to mycologists and you speak to some scientists, everybody has their own theory on how we came about, you know? But I definitely stay more on the mushroom side because that's a lot more compelling.
Yeah. I mean, you guys might convince me to go get some mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Where can we send people to find you guys on the internet or find out more about Quicknode?
Quicknode.com.
Quicknode.com.
We recently rebranded from QUIKnode.io to Quicknode.com, the way it was spelled. We had both domains from the get-go, but there was, you know, we were drinking Kool-Aid in 2018.
It was a cool thing to do.
It was a cool thing to do. Everybody was misspelling things.
So you had both the whole time?
The whole time, yeah.
Oh.
We knew from day one that, you know, there's going to be autocorrect. People are going to want to go to the .com. So we booked it from day one. But, you know, we were quick. And if you leave a letter out, you're faster to type it. And it was, and
come on, that's a shitty answer.
There's been research like when if you can shorten your URL, you know, you might save like a hundredth of a millisecond or something like that. So just leaving it.
I love it.
But it was a cool thing. It was a cool thing to do. But now that, you know, we're more mature, we're in a different stage of the company. We're like, all right, let's spell it right. Especially looking 5-10 years ahead, you know, maybe we go IPO or something. We need to have a proper spelled company name.
All right, so quicknode.com.
Quicknode.com.
Quicknode.com. Everyone go check it out. Thank you guys so much for doing this.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Dan.